Okay, let's get right into it. For today's explainer, I want you to put on your investigative journalist hat with me. We are diving deep into the data to expose what is, frankly, a massive systemic bug in our social structure. We constantly hear about DX, digital transformation, being pitched as this magical cure-all for society's problems. But when you peel back the layers and look at the raw data, a completely different, honestly pretty shocking story emerges about how our governance actually operates.
Just think about this jarring contradiction. On a global stage, Japan projects absolute technological supremacy. We've got leaders like Prime Minister Takaichi out there pledging the latest DX support to rapidly developing nations, like Vietnam, proudly exporting our cutting-edge capabilities. But then you look at the reality right here at home. We've got local city halls utterly trapped in these frustrating, rusting, paper-bound analog workflows. I mean, how does a country that's actively funding the digital future of other nations stay so fundamentally stuck in the past within its own borders?
Let's break this down. Section 1. Outward-facing Japanese DX.
To really grasp this, we have to look at exactly what we're exporting. Based on JICA's project data, Japan is providing incredibly comprehensive support for Vietnam's modernization. We're funding their 2020 legal reform project to bring their laws up to international standards. We're investing heavily in state-of-the-art infrastructure. We're talking advanced water systems, medical telehealth, the works. We are actively helping them build a national digital transformation framework, which, by the way, Vietnam's General Secretary has explicitly highlighted as a core pillar for their future economic breakthrough. So we are literally funding and building the foundations of a modern, digital-first society for someone else.
Which brings us to a harsh pivot. Section 2. Desperate domestic DX dysfunction. So here's where the data gets wild. According to comprehensive surveys of our own local governments, and we see this mirrored in specific places like Nanae City, a staggering 63.9% of municipalities haven't even set KPIs for their digital transformation. Let that sink in. Nearly 2/3 of local governments are flying totally blind. Sure, they might have some grand plan written down somewhere, but they have absolutely zero concrete metrics to measure success. And you and I both know you cannot transform an organization if you literally don't know how to measure your progress.
And what actually happens when you fly blind like that? Total internal chaos. Looking at the raw responses from municipal back offices in recent surveys, bureaucrats are flat out admitting that paper and electronic data are just completely mixed up. The result? They honestly don't even know where their data is located. Because every department has its own weird, slightly altered rules for handling files, business process reengineering, and really any kind of interdepartmental cooperation just completely stalls out. It is a massive digital traffic jam, and it's caused entirely by paper roadblocks.
So here's a question for you, and this directly impacts your life and your wallet. As a taxpayer, do you really think highly capable IT professionals, the exact kind of top-tier experts we need to fix this local chaos, are going to come work for the government to manage billions of your tax yen in IT budgets, when the rigidly structured, seniority-based salary they're offered is a mere few $100,000 yen a month? No way. It's a structural impossibility.
All right, moving to Section 3, the online application disguise.
We've all been there, right? You pull out your smartphone, you fill out a government form, hit submit, and think, wow, okay, that was actually pretty efficient. Well, the government's own surveys pull back the curtain on this, and the truth is kind of absurd. It's essentially fake DX, and it works in 3 steps. Step 1, you submit that digital form. Step 2, a bureaucrat in a back office literally prints your digital submission onto a physical piece of paper. And step 3, that same official stares at the printed paper and manually types your data back into an entirely disconnected legacy internal system. It's a total illusion of digital convenience running entirely on manual data entry.
Which leads me to the second big question we've got to confront today. How much of our taxes are we going to keep paying to fund this fake DX? Your hard-earned money is literally paying the salaries of officials who are being forced to act as human conveyor belts. It's an absolute waste of human potential and taxpayer funds, just dressed up to look like technological innovation.
So why is this happening? Let's look at Section 4. Cause, seniority and paper.
The crazy thing is, the money is there. We're talking about massive billion-yen budgets. The government is heavily allocating funds for these supposedly transformative municipal IT projects. It's not a lack of financial resources to buy the systems.
But then, you look at the human side of the ledger. Hundreds of thousands of yen. That is the rigidly defined, age-based monthly salary they're offering to the actual professionals expected to execute these massive transformations. The system completely fails to price modern digital talent because it's hopelessly chained to legacy pay scales.
This right here is what we call the compensation paradox. It's a fundamental structural inability to hire the essential digital experts we need. And the root cause? Outdated seniority-based pay rules that flat out refuse to pay market rate for specialized tech skills. Throw in a legal obsession with paper originality, laws that literally still demand physical stamps and physical paper trails, and digital systems are constantly forced to revert back to analog steps. This paradox, this structural bug, is the true cause of Japan's domestic digital defeat.
Which brings us to our final point. Section 5, leapfrogged by Vietnam's future.
When you look at the data-based forecasting, the trend is crystal clear. Look at Vietnam. With the help of Japanese ODA funding, they are building a digital-first infrastructure entirely from scratch. Because they are developing right now, they aren't burdened by decades of legacy analog laws. They get to just skip the paper phase altogether. Meanwhile, back in Japan, we are stuck endlessly patching analog bugs. We're paralyzed by laws demanding physical paper, and we can't even hire the talent to fix it because of our rigid pay structures. So by funding Vietnam's clean slate while ignoring the structural rot in our own system, we are setting up a scenario where Vietnam literally leapfrogs right over Japan's technological growing pains.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. While Japan proudly funds Vietnam's digitalization with massive development assistance, and our own domestic city halls remain in a chaotic shambles of mixed paper and data, which country is actually going to be wealthier, more efficient, and more livable 10 years from now? Are we paying to build the future abroad while letting these structural bugs consume our own society from the inside out? It's a critical question about the ultimate ROI of the path we're on, and it's one we desperately need to figure out. Thanks for diving into the data with me on this explainer. Catch you next time.